Prince Harry, the Duke of Sussex, has faced relentless public scrutiny since his move to the United States in 2020. Whether it's his decision to step back from royal duties or the revelations in his memoir Spare, Harry has found himself a constant target of the tabloid press. And most recently, he faced an attack through a lawsuit brought by the conservative Heritage Foundation, seeking the release of Harry's US immigration records. The lawsuit claimed that Harry's admissions of past drug use in Spare raised questions about whether he was properly vetted by US immigration authorities. Fortunately, this legal challenge was struck down by US District Judge Carl Nichols, marking a victory for Prince Harry and for privacy rights in general. This video will explore the details of the lawsuit, its implications, and why the ruling represents not only a win for Harry, but also a broader defense of personal privacy and fairness in immigration law. Let's begin. At the heart of the lawsuit brought by the Heritage Foundation was Prince Harry's candid discussion of past drug use in his memoir, Spare. In the book, which was released in January 2023, Harry wrote about experimenting with drugs such as marijuana, cocaine, and psychedelic mushrooms in his youth. The Heritage Foundation seized on these admissions, arguing that Harry's drug use should have disqualified him from entering the US. The organization sought to compel the US government to release his immigration records, presumably to prove that Harry had either lied about his drug use on his visa application or that the government had failed to follow proper procedures in granting him entry to the country. However, this argument was flawed from the outset. While Harry's admissions were public, there is a stark difference between admitting to drug use and being convicted of a drug-related offense. US immigration law is clear on this point. A conviction for a drug-related crime can indeed be grounds for denying entry to the country, but mere admissions of past drug use are not. As the US Department of Homeland Security, DHS, argued in court, there were no records indicating that Prince Harry had ever been convicted of a drug-related offense, meaning that his immigration status was entirely legal and appropriate. The Heritage Foundation's argument also hinged on the idea that Harry's admissions of drug use amounted to an immigration violation, suggesting that he had somehow deceived US authorities. This too was a baseless accusation. The lawsuit treated Harry's open and honest discussion of his past as if it were equivalent to a criminal conviction, which it clearly was not. Harry's admissions related to his teenage years and early adulthood, a time when many individuals experiment with substances but do not go on to develop criminal records or face legal repercussions. By conflating Harry's youthful indiscretions with a legal issue, the Heritage Foundation was engaging in a bad faith argument designed more to smear Harry's reputation than to raise legitimate concerns. However, all that was put to rest when US District Judge Carl Nichols ruled decisively in favor of Prince Harry, dismissing the Heritage Foundation's lawsuit. Judge Nichols emphasized that Harry, like any foreign national, has a legitimate privacy interest in his immigration status, and that the public does not have a strong enough interest to justify the release of his personal immigration records. This ruling reinforced a fundamental principle of privacy. Just because someone is a public figure does not mean that every aspect of their life should be subject to public scrutiny. The court's decision was not only a win for Harry, but also a blow against the increasingly invasive demands of some political and media entities that seek to use personal information as a weapon. In this case, the lawsuit was nothing more than a fishing expedition, an attempt to find something, anything, that could be used to undermine Harry's credibility and public standing. By denying the release of Harry's immigration records, the court affirmed that such tactics are not a legitimate use of the legal system. Moreover, the ruling underscores that privacy should be protected even for public figures. The idea that a high-profile individual like Harry would automatically lose his right to personal privacy simply because of his status is dangerous and unjust. Prince Harry, like anyone else, should be entitled to keep certain aspects of his life private, especially when it comes to sensitive issues like immigration status, health, and personal history. It's hard to view the Heritage Foundation's lawsuit in isolation. It was part of a broader campaign against Prince Harry, one that has been waged by both the monarchy and the British media. Ever since Harry and Meghan's decision to step back from royal duties and relocate to California, they have faced a barrage of criticism coming from the British tabloids, which have made a sport of attacking the couple. The Heritage Foundation seized upon Harry's drug admissions as an opportunity to attack his character and use legal mechanisms to harass and discredit him. The organisation likely knew from the outset that Harry's immigration status was perfectly legal, but they pursued the lawsuit anyway, knowing that the case would generate negative headlines and provide fodder for the British tabloids. In fact, it's difficult not to see the lawsuit as an extension of the British media's obsession with Prince Harry and Meghan. Since their move to the US, the couple has been a favourite target of the tabloid press, which seems determined to undermine their public image at every turn. By amplifying the Heritage Foundation's baseless claims, the British tabloids were able to continue their campaign of harassment against Harry, painting him as someone who had flouted US immigration law and escaped consequences. However, the court's ruling has now put an end to this line of attack. Harry has proven that the accusations levelled against him were baseless, and his privacy has been upheld by the US legal system. In addition to the British media, while the Heritage Foundation was the organisation that brought the lawsuit, it's worth considering that the monarchy may have had a hand in encouraging and supporting the lawsuit as part of an ongoing effort to pressure Harry to return to the royal fold. It's not beyond the realm of possibility that certain factions within the royal family, or their allies, would see an opportunity in the Heritage Foundation's lawsuit to publicly harass Harry and force him into a difficult position. By targeting his immigration status, they may have hoped to push Harry to reconsider his decision to live in the US and potentially return to the UK. However, this strategy has backfired spectacularly. Instead of forcing Harry into a corner, the lawsuit has only reaffirmed his right to privacy and his legal standing in the US. The Heritage Foundation's lawsuit was, in many respects, a fishing expedition. Their argument that Harry's admissions of drug use warranted the release of his immigration records was never legally sound. As previously mentioned, US immigration law does not disqualify foreign nationals based on mere admissions of drug use, particularly if those admissions pertain to incidents that occurred in their teenage years. Moreover, there was no evidence to suggest that Harry had lied on his visa application, or that US immigration authorities had failed to follow proper procedures when admitting him to the country. The entire lawsuit seemed to be based on speculation and innuendo, rather than any substantive legal claim. In the end, the lawsuit was a waste of time and money. The Heritage Foundation's real motive appeared to be less about genuine concern for immigration law and more about creating controversy for Prince Harry. By filing the lawsuit, they were able to generate media attention and further the narrative that Harry was somehow unworthy of his visa. This tactic, however, was ultimately unsuccessful. While the lawsuit may have been designed to damage Harry's reputation and create more negative headlines, it has ultimately only highlighted the baseless nature of the accusations against him. For Prince Harry, This victory represents a reaffirmation of his decision to step away from the constraints of royal life and build a new future for himself and his family in the US. And here in Daily Diaries, we couldn't be happier for him. Thank you for watching.